we are going to go into draft mode. Does it not tell you how many draft tickets you have anymore? Do I have a draft going? No, I don't. Okay. Okay, people, vote on what nation I should pick. Normally I would just pick US, but I'm kind of leaning towards Germany, honestly. Brits, US, Germany, Germany. Okay, 2 Brits, 1 US, 2 Germanys. I'm voting Germany, so it's 3 Germanys. 3 Brits, 3 Germanys. 4 Brits. People just really want to see Britain draft. Do you not see enough Britain in tournaments and ladder already? Okay. We'll do Britain. Blackwatch and Wrath seem like they would both be very strong in draft. I think Wrath more so. So I do not play a lot of draft. But I used to be really, really cracked at draft. When draft first came out, I was averaging over 6 wins. That's how I got a full collection. But that was a long time ago with a much worse player base and many, many less cards. However, the principles should basically be the same, and that is tempo is king. Cards that do stuff, cards that have blitz, cards that have deployment are almost always better than cards that are just stats, or cards that have a destruction effect. Obvious exceptions being Soviets, because Soviets just have stupidly good destruction effects. I mean, Blackwatch kind of has a tempo, but it's like a situational tempo, because if your opponent's hand has a lot of orders, Blackwatch is a huge tempo card. But if your opponent has no orders, Blackwatch is a really, really bad card, whereas Wrath is almost always guaranteed tempo card, if it's a little worse on stats. I'm gonna take the Wrath. Okay. These all suck. I mean, it's gonna be the Hurricane because they suck the least, but that's the other thing in draft is you do not want dead cards. You want as few orders as possible unless the orders are really, really good. Like We Can Do It, it's a really good order. Hammer, Spyring, those are really good orders. Delaying Tactics is not a good order. Are we just like kinda... Do we ever just go for the Exile deck? I mean, the Exile deck is not even good in Standard. It's not gonna be good in draft. I mean, Inniskilling is pretty rough. Crusader just seems like the objectively correct choice here. However, Crusader's the boring pick, you know? We're just gonna go for it. You know, I have like 80 draft tickets or something silly like that. I don't even get Poland Ally. I don't even get Poland Ally. I have 3 Exile cards. 75% of my deck is Polish cards, and I can't pick Poland Ally. Okay, people. Vote on what nation we're gonna do. Ally nation, I mean. I mean, we could just do mono Brits. Italy, Brits, Brits again. Okay, that's it. 3 for mono Brits. I don't know why I'm voting for mono Brits. Like, at this point, the deck... I feel like the deck is not going to turn out well, so I'm going for max memes. Italy, 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 Brits. Okay, that's 4 for Italy. Soviets for Exile. That is true, there's 1 Exile Soviet card. Actually, not true, there's 2 Soviet Exile cards. Yep, okay. The people have spoken, though. We're picking Italy. And, oh boy. Do I regret it already? I mean, Valentine's not terrible, and it's a one-of card. The Machi, um, yeah. I mean, it's not a terrible card. Even if you have less health than your opponent, it's not terrible, and it's pretty good in the early game. I'm just gonna pick the Machi. Livorno Regiment's actually quite good in draft, I think. The M3 Grant would be fine if we got a lot of healing, which we don't have. Lancashire Fusiliers is also fine. Lend-Lease, really good. That's one thing in draft. Almost always take card draw, because almost all games are going to be sort of grind out, like, slugfests that go on forever. So if one player has card draw and the other player doesn't, the player with card draw is almost certainly going to win. Because you have to fight to get any degree of card advantage, and Lend-Lease is just +4 cards. So, yeah, Lend-Lease is stupidly good in draft. It's like the one thing the Brits have going for them. Naval support sucks. Aerial reconnaissance sucks even more, but I think I'm going to take Blenheim because it's a unit. When you're picking between a terrible order and a terrible unit, always take the unit because the unit sometimes does something. Same reason. Well, okay, here's the thing. Kitty Hawk's not terrible. Just getting that out of the way. It's not terrible. It's not great. It's a lot better in standard. Like, it's a lot better in ranked than it is in draft, since there's a lot of cool synergies you can do with it in ranked. I'm a fan of Against the Odds. I've been thinking that this card is kind of cracked for a long time. It just doesn't exist a great deck to use it in. But I'm a big fan of Against the Odds. And I kind of want to pick it here, just because it's funny. Okay. Okay, Cass is broken. Like, genuinely broken, but we already have 2 British air units. I could just, like, start building into an air deck. I think I'm just going to take the 7th Alpini, though. Don't want to lean too hard into the memes. Number 1 Commando. So another thing in draft that I have a pretty strong opinion on is a lot of people I know try to draft with a curve. I think 1-cost units, unless you're Japan, are essentially all terrible. And 2-cost units are generally can be avoided in draft. Like, I've gone 7-0 without any 2-drops in my deck. Number 1 Commandos is an example of a 2-drop that I really, really like, because it's a 2-drop that does something if you top deck it, like, on turn 12. Because you can play it, and then it's threatening any unit in the front line on the following turn. I mean, Lancaster's not awful if you draw it on turn 12. It's very good if you draw it on turn 12. The problem is the reverse of 2-drops, where it gets worse later into the game. The Lancaster is worse earlier in the game, and surviving to turn 12 is not a given, so I'm going to take the Commandos. Yikes. I think I'm going to take the Spitfire, just because Hummer. Like, it was the same reason I don't like most 2-drops. Hummer's just absolutely terrible. And Fighters, if you're going to be picking a vanilla unit, Fighter is the best vanilla unit you can pick. Ooh, okay, this is another tough call. Sorry. Second Lend-Lease or Decima? Kind of a fan of the Lend-Lease. Generally speaking, Britain is going to get good cards. Baluch Regiment is an example of a good card to get. I have 1 retreat card for Typhoon right now. I have 2 Spitfires, actually, for Afro Anson. Rescue mission is way too slow. I'm going to take the Typhoon. Again, Fighters is just the best, the best text you can have. I'm going to take the Napoli. I've never played this card, and it does not seem good to me, but it seems better than the other options. The curve of this deck is getting a little clunky. Okay, I guess I've just taken a Hurricane. Taken a Machi, because the other cards suck. I really like 7th Alpini, and it will make up for the fact that we have a low curve, so I'm going to take it. The Canone seems really good. Like, Fiat also seems fine, but the Canone seems really good. Because this is a 1-drop which doesn't scale great into the late game. Fiat scales better, but Canone on curve is such a huge advantage. Observer Cores could be decent because we have 2 Lend-Leases. I'm going to take another against the odds just because it's fun. Your 52nd world record on USA has been beaten by my 49s. Okay, maybe we'll, depending on how this draft goes, we might be running speed runs. Another 2 Lancashire Fusiliers. Another RAF. That's another thing I remember. This one probably doesn't age as well as the Go for Tempo cards philosophy, but I remember Heavy Armor being like the best thing ever in draft back when I played it a lot. And like Cromwell is one of the just the stats. Like 3/6 tank with Heavy Armor 1 stats is insane. This is the stats of KV1, which can be a very difficult unit to remove. Now, obviously, the effect is significantly worse than the KV1 effect, but the stats are really good, but it's hard to say no to the effect of RAF. Gonna take 2 more Canones. I would really like some Guard at this point. Buffalo, I mean, we already have a lot of 2-drops as well. I don't really want another Lancashire Fusiliers. Honestly, might take the Coastal Gun, because it's kind of funny. We don't have the most 4-drops ever. Lancashire Fusiliers is just a really strong card, in my honest opinion. Gonna take another Spitfire, because it's a 1-of. Hurricane, because it has Blitz. Does this second chance just draw 2 Lend-Leases? This is just draw my card draw. That's kind of hilarious. It's that or a 6-cost Spitfire, which... yeah. I mean... it's just like makes... yeah. Yeah. We're gonna try second chance with 2 Lend-Leases. That's just like a funny combination. I don't think it's that good. Okay, last card of the deck. Firefly, Oxford, or Big Commandos. We're definitely not picking the Big Commandos. Oxford or Firefly? I mean, ground units deployed. So, we have the Canone. Oxford plus Canone is kind of cracked. We have the Napoli and the Churchill. 7th Alpini is not bad. Livorno, not terrible. I mean, we have nothing that this hurts. We have no ground unit with higher attack than defense. I mean, I think Firefly is just better. Firefly is just objectively better. Do not get me wrong. But, like, have we ever been... throughout this entire draft, you guys have not been telling me to pick what is good. Okay, people want Firefly. The people want the Firefly. That is fine. We'll take the Firefly. Oh, the curve of this deck is so high. You know what? Screw it. We're taking the Oxford. This is going to lead to funny situations. This is going to lead to clippable moments. Possibly. Maybe for me, maybe for my opponents, but this is going to have the highest clippable moment possibility. So, we're doing it for the content. We pick what we love, and we love Firefly. Nah, you guys just love Nathan Fillion. Okay. Game 1, another Brits. These suck. These are pretty good. This is just like a ludicrously powerful on-curve play. Alright, off to a strong start. Going second against somebody who has a 1-drop in draft. If I get naval power pushed, I'm gonna be mad. Just saying that now. Hello? I'm kind of terrified about this card. I think I would rather just play it slow. Oh! Oh, it happened! Oh, Lord. Well, the auto Canona is dead. Oh my god. Dude! What is this? Okay, okay. This is fine. This is fine. Okay, I can't really play Lancashires because of the piracy. Just gonna trade and play a 2-2 Bocce. Why is this guy playing aggressive? I mean, maybe his hand sucks, but like, this playstyle like specifically works really, really well into my current hand. I mean, what is that? Okay. Okay, at least it doesn't have Fury anymore, it's just a 4-4 fighter. I mean, he can drop me to 8 health, which is not great. If he does that, I can attack and Spitfire. Okay, well I'm glad I didn't play Oxford last turn. What the hell is that, dude? Okay. That's a very good draw, actually. Oh my god, this guy. This guy. Man, maybe I should do draft more often. I mean, this is the type of content that would just make me angry if I was playing it by myself, but played this for other people makes me feel, like, vindicated. Okay, so we got either 7th Alpini, Lancashires, or Maki. Okay, you got the Maki. That's fine. All good in the hood. I could just like slam a 7-7 Napoli. Could also play 7th Alpini and push. This has guard, right? Okay, for some reason I thought the Napoli has guard. Don't mind that play. Just pretend that play didn't happen. How does this card not have guard? This card is so bad. Holy crap. I thought... Oh my goodness. This card is terrible. Okay. It's fine. Everything's good. It's okay. We win these. We win these. It's not even a question. We win these. Has he shown an ally nation yet? Because the Machi was off of, I'm gonna get like air blitzed or some crap. No, it's France. So I could die to like cross of Lorraine or something. Okay. Lend leases. Is that a naval power? This guy's like building a Commonwealth deck. Wait, he's sacked? Okay. Okay. So for 5, 6, 8, I can clear the board. Not dying to retreat seems pretty good. Okay. This is winnable. Like, I might just die to an AO power, of course. But, like, oh, no, 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 okay, we're not dead, we're not dead, we're not dead. I feel like there's a very high chance he just missed lethal, but we're not dead. Okay, so this just draws us into some... Do I push this? Like, surely I must push this, right? Like, surely? There's... How many Blitz playing? Like, how many Blitz fighters are there? There's, like, in France and Britain. I think this is literally the only one. Like, he could give Blitz to a fighter, but I think this is literally the only card. And he has not played any copies of it yet. And I'm at 1 health. I'm gonna push this. And I'm gonna keep the fighter back, because there's a lot more Blitz bombers, but... Who is J Monarchy 1776? That's a very good question. Okay. This does nothing. That's not great. That's pretty bad. Oh, that's very good, though. That is very good. Please. No Wrath. No air power. No second Kitty Hawk. Second chance. No air power, no air power, no air power. Okay. No, what's that card that costs less for air units you control that can go face? Sea Patrol? No Sea Patrol. Britain does not have a lot of burn. France does not have a lot of burn. Defend in depth does not deal a lot of damage. He has 1 order in hand. Oh, we got the healing! We got the healing! I don't know what he's doing, but we got the healing. Oh, he's throwing. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna sack this. I should probably be a little concerned. However, I hit this, I heal to 16, he drops to 18. I can keep my Machi alive, actually. Alright. Red Sun, you asked earlier, what's like the craziest comeback I've done in cards? This game, right now. Not in the cards ever, I've definitely made crazier comebacks than this, but in recent memory, definitely this one. Actually, I think last time, I remember like I had a game on stream a while ago where I was at like 1 health against Japan France Resistance with 12 kamikazes in deck for like 7 turns. And I like went on to win. Oh, this guy drafted Resourcefulness with 0 commandos. Oh, buddy. I'm up to 30 health. 7th Alpini is such a stupid card. Okay, I can draw my Lend-Leases. Didn't know Britain was having a civil war involving Italy and France. Yeah, I mean, you know, the Italian monarchy and the British monarchy fighting over who gets the throne of France. I mean, if you've ever played Hoi Foi, that's basically what happens. We'll hit him with the Cheerio. Okay, 1-0. This deck is cracked. If we continue on the current rate, we will go 7-0. Yeah, that's just statistically that is going to be what happens. I absolutely love. Is this a copy deck for? Yes. I'm so happy. I just noticed that. I've been asking for a copy deck function on draft decks since they introduced draft. Because I used to want to, like, I used to keep track of all my drafts, and I used to save the decks so I could, like, look back at what cards were in the decks to see which cards performed better than other cards. But the only way to save the decks was by manually creating them in the game and then copying the deck code, which took a lot of time. Yeah, that game was hilarious. Why'd they make Oxford a mirror effect? Probably because Oxford without a mirror effect is just, like, too powerful. And what I mean by too powerful is, like, in specific situations, it is a ludicrously powerful card, and it is an elite, which can be difficult to remove for certain nations. Would I actually rather play the #1 Commando than the second Canone? I think so. Because then I can push it to the front and play the second Canone and attack something. It's kinda not what I wanted him to play. I'm just gonna play the Blue Regiment. I need to keep in mind Stars and Stripes, because, like, every single deck in draft ever has, like, 6 Stars and Stripes. Okay, his Warhawk can take out one of these RDs, but that's going to be basically his whole turn, because he's presumably also going to be hitting into this #1 Commando. He could trade with the Beluga, because of the way 2/5 Marines works. Very interesting he chooses to keep the Commando alive. This says to me that he has a way of killing Commandos. In a way that, well, presumably retreat Commandos now. In a way that's pretty fine. Yeah, it's a good thing I went for that Oxford. That Oxford did come in clutch. The guy also trolled super hard by playing the Kitty Hawk when he did. Like, if he didn't miss lethal in hand, he almost certainly could have set up like a 2-turn lethal. Okay. Battery Red Devils. Gonna hold this up. So he does have the 2-cost naval bombardment. So honestly, maybe I shouldn't even have pushed. I still think pushing is fine because making him play it is worth a lot. Because one, it just gets out of his hand. 2, it means he goes down to 2 credits. He can't, like, I don't know, Sherman or something. Yeah, look at this pro strats playing around the support line board clears. This guy's probably thinking I have, like, X-ray hacks or something. Oh, okay. Probably shouldn't have held up against the odds in retrospect when pushing that. Maybe, honestly, I should have attacked face, because attacking to this almost certainly will not matter. And attacking face just means that I get one more attack on Napoli when I play it. Yo, this card's cracked. Look how good Napoli is. Can you imagine how strong this card would be if it had guard? Like, who would ever give this card guard? This card's insane. What are the best setups for draft? I am... Holy crap. Ooh, that is bad. Okay, that's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. So that's 2, 3. I will have enough credits to go for Lend-Lease if I want. And I do think I want, because... Oh, I forgot they fully heal! Holy crap. That's insane. Okay, in that case, I'm definitely not playing Lend-Lease. We'll just push this. And I don't think 1-2 bomber is going to be doing a lot. Yeah, I don't play a lot of draft. Pretty sure US is just generally really good in draft. Okay, so that's going to trade with Napoli, and then we get the Fusiliers up. This did not draw a card. Could also retreat this. That does kind of give him some good traits there. I'm going to retreat this guy there. Oh, it's enemy spotted. Damn it. I mean, like, I'm taking the front line at some point this game. I could never take the front line, but it's not a mistake. It's just sad that he has it. Which expansion was Napoli released in? Napoli was one of the... what do you call them? The skirmish cards. So, like, the cards you get from playing the bi-weekly. Oh, that is a Tony. That is a Tony. That is an air sub. Why did he... Okay. Whatever. Well, if there's ever been a time to draw, now is that time. If there's ever been a time to not play Cannone, now is that time. Can you imagine how boned I would be if I did Oxford Cannone for the full support line, and then he just, like, slams down a 6-6-7 regiment and Stars and Stripes? I think I'm gonna trade with one of these. I guess I could have played Oxford and attacked face with the Machi instead of playing the Hurricane. I'm just worried about Stars and Stripes. Like, obviously he can Stars and Stripes this. Yeah, there he goes. Maybe I should have just not played the fighter at all. This is one of the reasons US is best in draft. Because the game's slowed down a lot, so playing things in the support line is generally more favorable. I could just, like, go off right now. Wait, are you kidding me? It applies first? Oxford reduced the attack of my Napoli. Pershing? What is happening? Oh my... Come on, dude. This is some garbage. Well, I'd really like it if my opponent didn't have a Pershing, but not a whole lot I can do about that now. Okay, I think I have to double trade into Pershing. Just the ways I lose to... Maybe I should have traded this, honestly. I feel like Oxford's now a net negative for me. Well, if I trade it, I'm gonna force him to spend the credits. Okay. Okay, this is card draw. We get one Lend-Lease. I would rather... Yeah. Attack like this, attack like this. Guess that play was bad in the Navy, but it's fine. Okay, can we make a comeback against this board with this hand? That is the question. That's a pretty good start. Now, the question is, do I retreat this off the board to just delay him a lot? With no guards, I think that's a bad idea, because I take 12. So I think the best play is to just retreat this. Or maybe the best play is just to develop a unit this turn, since Raft does not do a lot. Like, once it's on the board. Okay. That's fine. Get this out of here. Man, his units have so much health. Like, also my units have a lot of health, but like, holy crap, his units have a lot of health. Well, there they go, getting a bit of more health. I have 7 cards in deck. Yeah, this game's over. This came a little bit too late. We're technically not dead on board, since I can do this. We're out of card draw though, and like we can top deck a 7th Alpini, but wait, no, I am dead on board. I can't count. Never mind. Okay, well, 1-1. That is not necessarily the unexpected result of playing against a US deck with this deck. Okay, game 3, Germany. Seen a good range of draft decks this time around, so that's good. Do I keep Blenheim over Baluk? Against Germany, probably. They don't have great ways of dealing with air units. Their good fighters don't really come in until a bit later. And their early game's not that great. Well, German early game is very good in standard, but they're really bad on their own. They're good with synergy with each other. Careless Amaki, that's fine. Okay. Passes. Thinks a long time and then passes. I feel like there's a good chance there's a second Careless, but like, I'd rather play Blenheim than Hurricane. Nothing. Also, what is this guy's name? Furchen. Okay. Well, this guy is taking his sweet time to do his turn. I will once again remind people to subscribe to the Kards Topdeckers channel, if you haven't already. They do amazing content featuring a lot of different people in and about the cards community, as well as guides, and of course now the occasional stream. So yeah, you guys should subscribe. Zippo is going to be a really good counter to Lancashire's. So I'll probably just double trade it, depending on what he uses his other 6 credits on. Okay. I'm now more fine with this trading into it. I can just take the kill on the 17th, and then we trade 1 for 1. Pass. Holy crap. Holy crap, dude. Chillax. Double fresh recruits. This deals 11 damage to my HQ. Okay, at least it's stuck there, and I can retreat it. Holy crap. Pass? In what world do you pass? I'm going to attack first in case it's Stranglehold. It's sniped? It's sniped? Oh my... Dude, it's sniped! What the hell is this? Does this guy just think countermeasures are, like, all countermeasures are just cracked? And you should pick any countermeasure that comes up in draft? Okay, 2-1. We did it. That was a game. Most certainly was a game. Okay. Have I explained what the cool green sticker is? I have not. So, as you may or may not know, I have a coaching service. So, for $20 Canadian, which, if you're following global currency, is $20 Canadian probably. You're happy that's in Canadian if you're living in most places in the world right now. An hour, of course, $20 Canadian an hour, that's my rate. And you can receive coaching from the 2-time Cards World Champion. And this coaching can be for anybody. If you are trying to break into the Cards competitive scene, I did a few hours of coaching with Uwu Moy, and he went from somebody who had never made top 38 before to somebody who's now been in several top 8s. He actually just qualified to top 8 in this season. I think Uwu Moy actually might still be in the chat, so if you want to know if the coaching is good or not, you can feel free to ask Uwu Moy. Congrats again on qualifying if you are here, Uwu Moy. Or if you are just want to get better at the game, you've never even thought about tournaments, you just want to improve, you have some questions, yeah, feel free to message me on Discord if you are interested in any of that, and we can sort something out. Time to queue in and stream snipe J King. You do that, Arizona kid. Get your cracked deck. Yeah, yeah, Uwu Moy. The Cards Topdeckers, that was actually my very first coaching experience. Very thankful to Cards Topdeckers for actually giving me that opportunity. As a part of a giveaway on this channel, I think it was 2.5 hours of coaching. Uwu Moy won, and now he is a staple in the competitive scene. I mean, a huge part of that, do not get me wrong, a huge part of that is the fact that Uwu Moy is a very, very talented player. I mean, honestly, a lot of what I did was just give him the confidence he needed to play. It was just like, this is what I want to do, but I am unsure. And it's like, no, that is perfectly right. This is absolutely the correct play. You're spot on. And yeah, I mean, everybody's different. Some people need to understand like the theoretical concepts behind it. Some people just need a little extra push. Whatever it is to you. Yeah, I shape my coaching around each individual person. You're looking forward to paying me for more coaching with the money of OCC. Yeah, I mean, well, depending how you do next week, you very well could be in the OCC Ultimate, in which case, I'm going to be getting a pretty decent chunk of change. Also, Oxford is working out really well in this game. Also, I'd really like to stop playing against US decks, please. Howdy, interdiction. Fifth Rangers, Fallschirm Jaeger. This is each tank in the same line, okay. So this is kind of a fine opportunity to play Lend-Lease. I think I would rather just get some more units out on board. Maybe play Lend-Lease next turn. Because my deck is a little low on tempo. So, like, I don't know, if I play Lend-Lease and he plays like a Panther G and I don't find a Wrath, suddenly things are looking pretty bad. Yeah. Yeah, second chance only really gets one chance with this deck. DFA hitting the Hurricane. That's pretty fun. So now we're gonna Lend-Lease. See what we get. Some pretty high value cards. Now, do I want to hit face for 5, or do I want to kill this? I think I want to kill this. I mean, Germany US is going to have a lot of high tempo cards, and I do not have virtually any burn. This is the only burn in my deck. So, I don't think I can really start a face race if he starts playing good cards, and if he is only playing bad cards, then I'm going to win anyways. So, might as well play it slow. That's honestly like the biggest tip for playing draft, is play it slow. Like, just try to be as grindy as possible, take almost any value trade, and just slowly work up a slight card advantage. The JU pass 3 credits, US. So it could be in the Navy. I'm going to attack with this first. If it's in the Navy, I'm going to Wrath it. The reason I'm just not Wrathing it immediately is I do want to get that JU just out of the way so I don't have to worry about that at all. Alright, play the second Maki. Nothing happens. And we'll play a Spitfire. I'm gonna get Schwalbed. I feel it coming. Jamaz, I have news. 42 seconds USA. So if people missed it earlier in the stream, I talked about Kards speedrunning. I shed light on the Kards of speedrunning community, and Bubbles took it upon himself to take away all of my records. So yeah, that's what he's talking about. Got the 442nd trade to go off, so that's gone. FW is pretty good. Honestly, we're nearing the point where I could feasibly just retreat that and go well face, depending on what he plays. Am I about to get baited by, like, drawing one card off of Typhoon? No, I think we just drop him to 12. If he's German-US, he should have little to no healing. I don't want to play another unit because of Stars and Stripes there. If I get Schwalbed here, I'm just gonna surrender on the spot. Not actually, but I will cry. Yeah, that's kind of a problem with my deck, is there's... And a problem with Britain and draft more widely, is there's almost no removal, and in my deck there's literally no removal. So if he does play a Leopold, I have no answer to that. Is it Stars? Could be Stars, maybe Battery. Maybe Shore Bombardment. Is that Comet Sack? Oh, that's gotta be sad. That is not the play a happy person does. I can tell you that much. I can drop him to 7. I don't think I want to put more cards on the board. I think I just want to do this and pass. Keep the Hurricane in hand. No reason to let him know the burn I have now. Hamas means never in Spanish. Hamas. What if we had a card, like, double it and give it to the next person? So called because I once lost an OCC qual in 42 seconds. Honestly, that sounds... Oh, was I roping my opponent out? Oh no, it was still their turn, they just surrendered. Alright, 3-1. It's about 2 wins more than I was expecting to get with this deck, to be completely honest. I've seen similar in OCC top 8. Yeah, there's been some pretty blistering tournament sets. I think the fastest tournament set I've ever seen was like in the 3rd or 4th OCC, Blue Blast versus Darkness. And it was like game 1, I think was a Jagro. Like turn 4 Jagro win. And then game 2 was Air versus Control of some sort, and the Control deck after a full mulligan had no cards costing less than 5, and Air won on turn 4 with like a super nutty hand. It was just the most filthy thing I've ever seen. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody get bricked harder in an OCC. I think like the only thing that comes close is TB's 3 Skytrains. Those are like on par. Okay, we got a Britain, which is probably better for us than US. Oh, L640, yeah. That is true. There was the one guy who won an OCC with L640. Good old BJ. Taking any chance of revisiting Gunboat Commandos? Unfortunately, I don't think so. Without any massive changes. Yeah, that was it. And cast buffed like a single target, and you would cast buff a hurricane, stuff like that. Okay, this guy's Suraj Gate. Alrighty. That was a play. It certainly was a play. I mean, hey, I got knocked out of the 2020 World Championship by L640 in top 16. The guy ended up getting 2nd, I think, actually. Fenrir. Oh, that is true. I was not talking about the, the World Championship one was the funniest thing ever, because Darkness was on a control deck with 3 tech cards being L640, L640, and Enigma. And then he, like, went first and just literally killed me with well, that's bad. Not a fan of that. I could try sacking both of these. Or do 1, 2... Yeah, I actually like that the most. Take this out, get rid of Oxford. And then actually just fully trade out. No reason to push the Machi. My favorite aggressive World Championship moment was when Darkness punched Bison in the face, said to get good before stomping out of the room. Yeah. Honestly, that was a pretty great moment. I mean, and it was especially weird because Darkness never played against Bison. But he just watched Bison losing to Viabator and just, yeah. Yeah, for anybody who might be confused, that is a joke. Darkness never punched anybody. Not a particularly violent person. Now, Viabator, on the other hand, you want to stay away from Viabator. Is it just gonna go for Napoli? 9-7. Oh, I didn't play around Suraj Gate. I can't believe I'm trolling. I'm trolling. Okay, hopefully he doesn't have any more. I can't believe I'm not playing around Suraj Gate again. He's rookie 31st, but I'm rookie 32nd. Okay, there's not really a way to play around it anymore. I'm like worried that he's gonna somehow clear the board. Like I'm worried that there's gonna be second Monsoon Rot Winter Warfare or some nonsense. Because that's really the only way I can see him. Well, not the only way I can see him winning, but certainly in a bit of a tough spot. Okay, Raff on Napoli. Why does he point out his own unit? Like a no surrender. Okay, let's just clear the board. And no, I'm not even gonna play a commando because like that just gives him a confusion target. King, you might be a good player or whatever, but your decks will never be as based as Gorkyu's or Tree Pippets. Okay, I will say Gorkyu's Japan-Soviet deck that he won OCC with, I had the well, not the exact same deck, but I had like the exact same deck archetype. Like a Japan-Soviet draw through your entire deck with Kawanishi Isolation as the win con. Like a year, probably more than a year before that point. Yeah, I think I have a video from after I made that deck, but my Japan Elites tier list video, I talked about when reviewing Isolation. I said Isolation's not that bad, specifically because Isolation Kawanishi on your own thing can set up a turn where you can play all your Kamikazes at once. So, I will say, Gorky's decks are very based, but, and I'm not trying to say like I invented it, he came up with it separately on his own, but I'm saying that I am also based. If you're calling Gorky's decks based, that I am also based. No, I'm not saying I invented it, Bubble. Although I did play a lot with Gorkyu. When he first started playing around with that Britain-Japan pin deck with like the AA guns and stuff, And I think he got into an OCC qualifiers. Like, I think he just missed out on top 6 and got into the qualifiers. I played like 2 or 3 hours of practice games with him. I've spoken to him quite a bit. He's a very interesting, very creative deck thinker. Okay. US going first, 4-1. There is like a 90% chance we lose this game, but... And he has 30 seconds. It's not great. What about Tweepipit? Haven't seen many people play whatever he's playing. I mean, no offense to Tweepipit, bless his heart, but what he's played is not particularly good. I will say it's very interesting, and compared to most like deck builders, what he plays is close to being playable, but like there's a reason nobody is playing the decks he is playing. And it's not because like, oh, he's a bad deck builder. It's just because he's trying to build decks that can't be good. Like, I'm not saying I could like build a much better deck of the same archetype. I'm saying that archetype is just bad. Yeah, I can keep his 32nd. I feel like I'm going to live to regret that, but... It's kind of difficult to say no to an on-curve Spitfire. I feel like my win con is just probably attacking him 4 times with the Spitfire. So assuming it's in the Navy, I want to attack with this one first. And I think I'm just going to pass. I don't think I need to play anything. If he wants to stars, he can stars. If he wants to strat, he can strat. If he wants to gunship and play more 30 seconds, he can do that, I suppose, too. Well, we want to kind of have double Lend-Lease in hand, so hopefully we don't draw. Second chance at any point this game. Oh, any man who must say I'm based is not based at all. Kinda true. Kinda true. USA? Britain. That definitely increases our chances of winning this by quite a bit. If it was like USA Soviet, USA German, that would be a lot worse. If I went to Iceland, you guys would see an old man who never speaks a word. Yeah, don't worry about that. People were so awkward. Bubbles, you might remember this. But, like, when we first got to Iceland for the 2021 World Championship, people were so awkward. Like, Bubbles was basically the only one who was talking. Well, okay, Ollie, Admirable, and Bubbles were, like, the only one who was talking. But, like, Spoos barely spoke a word. Myself, I didn't speak a word. I have like pretty bad social anxiety, and was not remotely confident in talking to anybody. But yeah, it was so awkward. Howdy, Soul. Welcome to the stream. You're a 17-year-old guy who isolates himself? I mean, hey, I'm like a, what, 22-year-old guy who isolates himself? Kind of just want to retreat that. The problem is he could have carpet bombing. He has Britain ally. And if he does have carpet bombing, we're kind of screwed. I mean, yeah, the problem is now I need to... I have double Lend-Lease, it's just the cards in my deck are so low quality. Okay, I mean, if he keeps playing cards like that, it's gonna be fine. Nah, that one's very good. So that has to happen. So I will have enough credits to Lend-Lease. Not a whole lot else there. Dude, heavy armor is cheating. I spoke to everyone other than J Queen, who I refuse to speak to no matter what. Yeah, very true. I mean, Bubbles is really just an incel, and that would offend his sensibilities to speak to a woman. There's not really a way to not get blown out by Stars and Stripes, so we are just not going to play around it and pray. I mean, 3 credits up could be Doubting System, could be Ultra. Surely he will have to test for those. I mean, honestly, even if he does have Stars and Stripes, like, it's not the end of the world. It's obviously very bad, but... Okay, I'm fine with that. If he kills his own... No, it's pinned enemy. Okay. Okay, well I have Exile Synergy in my hand for like the first time ever. So that's interesting. I like need to get rid of this damn Cromwell. I need to start hitting it. Now obviously this is giving him a second opportunity to Stars and Stripes, but if he didn't play it last turn, he probably isn't playing it this turn, unless he's like hard playing around AoEs. In all seriousness, I love what looks like to be a pineapple shirt dressing for the incoming summer season. Yeah, it went from really, really cold to really, really hot in, like, the snap of, like, snap of the fingers. And it's very disappointing because I very much enjoy the weather in between, where it's like 10 degrees, 15 degrees. It went from 0 degrees to like 25 instantly. And I'm not saying 25 is like really hot, but like if you've been at 0 degrees for like the last 6 months, like 0 or below for like the last 6 months, and suddenly it's 25, it feels really hot. Like 2 days ago, I was wearing my snow coat. This morning, I saw some people sunbathing on my driveway. Weather here is insane. This is the iconic Lucky Pineapple shirt, J King lore. Yeah, this is true. You can go back to like OCCs, like definitely in 2021, probably in 2020. I was wearing this. I didn't wear this to Worlds. In 2021, but because it was kind of cold in Iceland. But did you discard anything? Interception. Honestly, is this a Lend-Lease turn? This is probably a Lend-Lease turn. Am I gonna get Doubting Systemed? No Doubting System, I'm gonna push up. Do you live in Toronto? The heat wave was crazy, supposed to cool down next week though. I don't live in Toronto. I live kind of near to Toronto, well, like 3 hours away, but I mean, in Canada, 3 hours away from Toronto is still like in the same general vicinity. You're listening to the man that still claims the hottest he's ever been was in Canada, and not... Okay. That is... Spain, on average, is hotter than Canada. I'm not arguing with that. I think this is the first time in 6 games I've drawn Livorno Regiment. Does this? Okay, so it is reduced to 1, it is not... So it is still combat damage. So this should still kill it. I know it didn't used to kill it, but how it is written, it should still kill it now. Okay, good. Could just do like an Oxford. No, okay, so I'm not saying Canada is hotter than Spain. I'm saying the hottest temperature, and like the hottest temperature I've ever experienced is in Canada. Because like it just objectively, if you took out a thermometer, the hottest temperature I've ever experienced was in Spain. However, humidity has to be taken into account, because like depending on the humidex, it can affect you as if it were hotter. What countermeasures do I have to be worried about? This is quite a good thing to get off of Oxford. Do I sack the Oxford and then... No, I do not want to retreat. This is so good, dude. This is like actually the hard counter. Holy crap. So I think I'm playing another one of these. And I think I want to get the Typhoon Dame. Yeah, but there was one summer, one specific day, where with the humidity, it was 49 degrees with humidity, and as somebody who has experienced like high 40s degree temperature with a very arid heat, like 10% humidity, I would take that in a heartbeat over like 35 degrees feeling like 49, because if it's like in the high 30s feels like high 40s with humidity, it just feels like you are drowning trying to breathe the air, period, no matter where you are, whereas if it's just really hot and you go into the shade, it's relatively cool. So yeah, I will stand by that. That's not good. I'm out of attack buffs, but I still just want to kill the Artie, so... Oh, this draws a card! The Synergy. Yeah, this is... Also, side note from my rant about temperature, this is why heavy armor is really, really good in draft. Because, like, look at how insane these Cromwells have been for this guy this game. If this was just a 3-6, or like even a 3-8, like if you just take away the heavy armor and replace it with health, this card would be so much worse. Sevilla did not have a ton of humidity when we went there. I cannot speak to the average temperatures in Sevilla, but when we went there, it was very, very hot, not particularly humid. Please speak American temperatures from here on out. Okay, so in Fahrenheit for the Americans out there, that's 120. Now, when I was in Florida, it was also really bad, and when I was in Florida, I think it was like 115. Florida was really gross. Like, particularly, Florida was gross because of the heat. I mean, Florida's also kind of gross, but... you know. Florida's Florida. Okay, it was 48 degrees, and I looked at the humidity, and it was 48 degrees 49 with humidity. I will take 48, 49 with humidity any day over, like, 37, 49 with humidity. Any day of my life. We might actually win this. This game was looking really rough for a long time, but we might actually win this. I have 5 cards in deck. There's about 3 bald eagle nests on. I think I'm gonna go for the hit. Wait, actually, I probably should have done the math. This is 8, 13, yeah, I don't want enough matter. Why didn't this guy... Whatever. Oh, frames drop. Here we go. Okay. He needs a top deck that does something. That is a top deck that does something. That certainly is. That is a second chance, which does nothing. Getting a little nervous now. Okay, so I'm just gonna go for the hits. That... Oh, come on, dude. Okay. It's pretty good. This guy does not run Stars and Stripes, don't even worry about it for a second. I'll just go for this hit now, so he makes this trade, or if he goes for like this trade, I can ping it off. I have 1 card left in my deck. Did you get the clip of you explaining the weather? I did get a clip of you explaining the weather for like 30 seconds. Looking at the game and looking at, like, you've forgotten your own name and why you exist. Okay, good. This guy's like drawn like so many short bombardments this game. Okay, last card in my deck is a Machi. This is hitting here, unavoidable. Which means if he pushes... I think this game's just over. Unless he somehow trolls this and like attacks the Machi or attacks face, this game is over. Or maybe, like, maybe if the next 5 cards in his deck do absolutely nothing, I can, like, win on fatigue or something. Because I do have a lot of health. That is a possibility that is worth considering. How quickly can he enter the game if I just go for it? So I can drop him to 5, which means... So the difference between him being at 5 and him being at 6 is the same for fatigue, because he takes 1, 2, 3. However, if I drop him to 5, I can then drop him to 3 on the following turn. So I think actually just going double face is correct, because 3 changes the fatigue math by quite a bit. Okay. Take out the Grand Guards. I mean, I think this game is lost, because this is going... The Jackson's gonna kill me really, really fast. But, like, maybe. Oh, the Hellcat! Okay. Maybe he plays card draw. Maybe he just, like, slams Lend-Lease here. Dude, if this guy had drawn Jackson instead of Grengards into Spitfire, or, like, whatever this card he hasn't been playing in his hand is. It's, like, probably, like, an enemy spotted or something. Alright. That's sad. GG. 4-2. I mean, again, like 3 more wins than I was expecting to get with this deck. Dude, that was... I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of a depressing game. I kind of would have rather I just got, like, stomped by, like, a Stars and Stripes. Any of those points that I lost immediately to Stars and Stripes, rather than, like, the game being drawn out so long. I'm keeping Oxford, because it's fun, and I'm keeping 7th Alpini, because, I feel like against Japan, they all have, like, 5 high-ends. Also, I feel like Japan, out of every nation, has, like, the most ground units with more attack than defense. So, like, Oxford actually kind of becomes, like, a good guy. Of course, I could slam Oxford and he plays, like... yeah, he could play that. This is a possibility. Scouting party. Okay. Should bring Sure France Burn to OCC. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe not. Just an idea. Slamming a 7-7 Napoli seems good. Kinda interesting he shot the Hurricane rather than the, maybe setting up like a Ryusei trade. Yeah, that's fine. Buddy. Buddy, not like this. Wrapping a 1-drop doesn't feel like amazing, but the 0 trades with Raph. Okay, he went for the greed. I could just try setting up lethal. Works very much in theory. Is it decisive? Yeah, decisive's fine. Does stop the potential lethal setup. A 3-3 bomber. I think you mean a 3-3. That's. Do I just get him for 7? Just go like super aggro. This forces him to trade 0 with Napoli, which like I'm pretty fine with. See, I play like this. He replays 7th and trades with Napoli, and I've just essentially gotten a huge tempo advantage because these cards kind of suck. Could also just try killing this. 1, 5. There's no way to remove this without letting the Type 94 trade into the Spitfire. Which is something I would like to avoid. Yeah, just do this. Play like a pretty slow, chill turn. Four wins with Britain in draft, insane. True. Oh, that, wait a second. Buddy. Not again. Buddy. I mean, it is still a good play. Like, the 8-4 ambushes are insanely difficult to deal with, but it's just really funny. Dude, Kakoshima's like kind of a cracked card. It's honestly like one of my favorite cards in the game. Oh, why are they so big? Yeah, like, honestly, if he hits the Kagoshima into anything... Like, if he hits it into the Napoli, I think I'm fine. Maybe I should have guided Napoli. Redeployment. Okay, so he just spent 4 credits to draw a card. Trades with the 7th Alpini. Probably means he's trading with the Bomber. Or, not the Bomber, sorry, the Artie. If you hit the Fighter here, you're insane. Unless you're doing like a say? Maybe? I don't know why you would do this. I'm very confused. Okay. Just gonna draw my other Lend-Lease now. Can I push this too? Could buy me quite the tempo swing. I think I would have to sack Nara into... Or I think I have to sack Napoli into the Nara regiment anyways. Oh, Lord. Okay, that guy kind of bet the farm on that 1 and 4 right there. But I mean, seeing that he had intel on my Lend-Lease, he kind of didn't have to go for a risky play like that. Unfortunately, it is not going to pay off for him. Maybe the last card in his hand is like a... to the last man or something. High-end Fiat. I can just go face. Got like this mad exile synergy. Alright, to the last man is like one of the only cards he can draw. Zeke is not it. 5 and 2. We inch ever closer. If I go 7 wins with this deck, I'm Well, I'm not gonna eat a sock. I'll just tell you that up right away. I'm not gonna eat a sock. I'm not about that life. But yeah. I have no idea what I'm gonna do if I get 7 wins, but I will certainly be shocked, to say the least. Okay, another Britain deck. Have I had Machi on turn 2 every single game? I mean, I do have like 4 in the deck. I suppose it's like the same odds of hitting 32nd every single game. Except actually more likely because I'm mulliganing more cards. Alright, he's going second. In general, I feel like going second in draft is better just because card advantage is worth more than tempo advantage. Specifically because the 1-drops and 2-drops are not that good. So the tempo advantage you get from going first is not particularly meaningful for a long period of time. Would I eat grasshoppers? Yes. Would I eat grasshoppers that look like grasshoppers? Probably not. Like, I don't know. I would be fine if they're like a paste made of grasshoppers. Like, I'm okay with that. But would I just like crunch into like just like a fried grasshopper? Probably not. Did you see the ones that... Yeah, I did see that picture. I would not have had those. Let me just say that much. Livorno or Lancashire? Livorno or Lancashire? I'm gonna go for the Livorno. I feel like, just generally speaking, like, this isn't gonna get attacked a whole lot. I mean, Bubbles is... He's not from Germany, but he does have... He can tell you all there is to know about the Wehrmacht. He's really into World War II documentaries. Is this attacked? Yeah, it's when it is attacked. Yeah, every time I look at the... Oh, am I about to play into Carpet Bombing? Let's see, he hits this, it goes down to... I think I'm playing this anyways. Carpet Bombing be damned. Because if it is Carpet Bombing, I can just trade out the board anyways and Lend-Lease. Well, I won't be able to Lend-Lease on that turn. And I'm holding up 3 credits, so if he Carpet Bombs, it means he loses to Ultra Down. You're British. Royal Scots. Okay, I don't think there's anything that would make Royal Scots really apply. Okay, we will trade like this. Play the Fury Hurricane. Threaten some damage. Okay, I Hurricane. Actually, like, not that far away from... Like, he could just Carbo Bomb it and clear a good chunk of the board, but... yeah, or you could do that. It's kind of annoying. 5, 6... I think I'd play the... Like, I think the Fury on the Hurricane is worth it. Because I am just threatening lethal now. He might have to sack the Commando. Or he does that and hits the Lancashires. Sure. Reasonable. That'll do it too. Order, lol. I mean, the reason he did it in that order is because if he didn't hit the Lancashires, he had to trade. But that's pretty damn good. Okay, we'll just drop him to 5, so Typhoon is always threatening lethal. And Hurricane's always threatening lethal. And because I don't have a lot of burn, and by a lot of burn I mean any burn, I am going to ping the tank. Because it's a world where Commandos kills Typhoon, he kills Hurricane, and then the tank kills the Crusader. Okay. Why wouldn't you hit the Hurricane? Why wouldn't you hit the Hurricane? Why didn't he hit the Hurricane? Also, this is a very above average British 6-drop. We got him! Okay. Got a little worried there. The guy could have hit the Hurricane and done the exact same turn. He needed to kill the Typhoon, so he needed to win a 2 and 3. But he also could have... No, he couldn't. He needed to attack first. But yeah. I mean, like... Wait, actually, is it? No, it's not better, because he needs to hit both. Yeah, no, that is just dumb. Okay. Well, 6 and 2, it's a US. It's over. Back it in, guys. We got a good run. I'm gonna keep this, because this is sort of the most aggressive hand that I can keep. Like, the Spitfire is probably the most aggressive card in my deck, just because fighters can go face very cheap. Like, this does 25% of his health for 2 credits once it's on the board. Okay, if he's running 506th, that is generally a good sign, because that card is bad. That card's pretty good. I really like the Stuart and the Zippo in draft, specifically because of Lancashires. Like, Lancashire's the main one. There's a couple other, like, high health, cheap infantry that are just really good at crushing the support line. And, like, this is the exact situation you want, where Stuart just is threatening to trade with Lancashires. Yeah, there's like a 0% chance this guy does not run 4 stars and stripes. I say run as if, like, he has a choice in the matter. Alright, this is it. Imagine there is some epic copyright-free music in the background, building up towards this final fight. Oh, it's a bait. It's a bait. It's always a bait. I mean, so Stuart trades with Lancashires anyways, so I don't care about pushing Lancashires up, and this way I trade with the Bombers. I don't think there's any cards he can use to... Oh, no, but that's it. That's the one card in the game. That is literally the single card in the game that does... that accomplishes what he wanted to accomplish there. Spitfire time, though. I guess he could air sup. I mean, if I got airsoft in that situation, I'd be even more mad than the Stars and... or not the Red Dawn. Trade? Is he setting up a Stars and Stripes, or does he have like a gunship mission? Second Red Dawn. Sure. Kinda wanna get the Hurricane going. Also kinda wanna get the Napoli going, because I can slam down a 9-7 this turn. Which seems good. Not quite as good as Hurricane, though. I think we still have to keep playing aggressive, especially with these Red Dawns coming out. These are helping us quite a bit. Like, against a US-Soviet deck, I think there's like essentially a 0% chance we win on value. I mean, maybe if he has no card draw, actually. Because we do have access to both Lend-Leases. But just like the card quality difference is going to be so high, I think I have to play aggressive. Oh, that is pretty good. It is pretty damn good. Okay. Chooses to push rather than remove Machi. I mean, actually that's reasonable, because if he has a Stars and Stripes. Oh, that is so annoying, dude. Oh, I hate you, Machiavelli. I mean, I think I have to. And then just play a 7-7. This is when he plays Avenger. Stars and Stripes is standard. What was that fighter? I could not recognize the alt art. This is the... No, that's not. Do I have... Yeah, I have alt art Hurricane. It's the Hurricane. It's the 3/3 Fury. The alt art doesn't show up on the... Oh, it does. It just turns into the other one once he takes it. Okay. Push up this. And let's just start damaging this guy. This guy's gonna need to be damaged. Thunderbolt's such a good card. If he has retreat into... Oh, Lord. Again? Again? Really? Yeah, this sucks. Well, it was a fun run. 6-3. I very well might play more draft in the future. This has been fun. This will be the last draft run of the night. Or afternoon. Or morning, potentially, depending on where you are, but this will be the final draft run for the day. Yeah, I mean, we're Lend-Leasing. There's not really a way to play around Stars and Stripes now. Fresh Recruits lands on Thunderbolt. Oh, it hurts, dude. It hurts. If there's enough requests and we can convince him, he might be able to get him back in the future for more draft on stream. Yes. For a second, I was worried that... Oh my god, dude. Oh. Oh, Lord. It's all over. It's all coming apart. Well, that's decidedly bad. On the plus side, he seems to not have Stars and Stripes. So that's like a thing I have going for me. I can kill this, I suppose. And welcome the incoming farm. mean, maybe he doesn't have stars. Maybe he doesn't have stars. Can you show your cards after this? Elite ones. I mean... Do you mean, like, gold cards? Like, I have a full collection. It's not going to be particularly different than just searching up Elite and doing show all in your own collection, but yeah, I can show off the cards. Oh! Remember when I said maybe I can outvalue him? Remember that? Back when I lived in that fantasy world? Not a whole lot else to do. I mean, like, honestly, if we hit a RAF, we might be in business. Because, like, he's kind of... Unless he starts just, like, hitting a ton of cheap cards to spam out, he's kind of reaching the... Oh, no, okay. The third Red Dawn. And Shore Bombardment. Why? Just kill one of the Arties, dude. Like, this... I don't even think this is a good play, but just why? Let it go. Be the one with the ice and snow. I don't know the lyrics of that song. Oh, this hurts. Why is it Oxford a deployment effect? Can I get a raft? That's pretty good. Probably playing Baluka is better than attacking. Did you walk into an Oxford draft, Drag Tom? Yes, you absolutely did walk into an Oxford draft. This is not the game to show it off, but worked really, really well in a bunch of other games. And I will say, I don't think Firefly would have worked better. There was not really ever a situation where I would have preferred Oxford to be Firefly, necessarily. Oh my goodness. Chillax. Well, we had a good run. J-King karaoke stream when? 100,000 subscribers. I almost said 10, but I was like, I don't know, man. Maybe if mobile pops off. I don't want that on the record. Oh, there's the Stars and Stripes. Yeah. He had it. It's actually 3 off lead. There's the against the odds. Hit him up with the Cheerio, and let's take a look at the, look at the draft rewards. You heard it here first. Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, what do we get? That's really disappointing. Not the rewards themselves. The rewards themselves are fine, just the way of displaying it. I really liked before when it was like, boom, here's what you get in your face. Now it's, I don't know, this is just... I just played like 10 games. Is that a gold daylight bombing or a normal daylight bombing? I think that's the normal daylight bomb. It's kind of hard to tell. If you can't tell, it's... I have 84 draft tickets, holy crap. If it's hard to tell, it's probably a problem. Oh, the sun is like right behind the thing. Okay, gold card. Gold card. Gold. Right, you say? Not bad. Halfway to crepe. Okay, well, that is that. I will slowly scroll through my elite cards as per request. So, while I do this, thank you very much, everybody who tuned in, whether you tuned in for 5 minutes or the whole, like, 3 hours. Thank you very much to the Kards Topdeckers team for giving me this opportunity. And, yeah, make sure to subscribe to Kards Topdeckers, the channel you are currently on. They do regular videos featuring players from around the cards community, as well as regular guides and the occasional stream. So there is non-stop content. Honestly, like, genuine opinion, I'm not being like paid to say this, genuine opinion is probably my favorite content out there for cards right now. And yeah, all around really, really good. If you are not subscribed already, you should subscribe. And as is below me in the box right there in the green, I have a coaching services where for 20 Canadian an hour, you can get the insights of the 2-time Cards World Champion into whether you want to make it into tournaments or just improve your play, climb up ladder, hit Field Marshal for the first time, whatever it is. I specifically adapt my coaching to every individual person, so if you're interested in that, you can message me on Discord, or on any other platform you find to message me on. So, yeah, with that, thank you very much, and this page of elites is very, very long, so I'm gonna start speeding it up. Here, you can take screenshots. He said Canadian, not Canadian dollars. Let's pay with Canadian geese. Yes. As any true Canadian, I will also accept payment in the forms of Tim Hortons gift cards, or beavers. Golden cards have extra thin stripe. That is also true, yeah. I mean, it's difficult to tell on orders. Like, it's a lot easier to tell on a gold elite, or not gold elite, sorry, gold unit. Because if you look at the unit cards, they do have the second banner, like the second line around it, that like the regular ones don't. But if you look at a gold order, they only have this one at the bottom. So another example of that, yeah, they only have it at the bottom. But yeah, that was fun. Thank you, everybody, for hanging in. Yeah, anytime, Redson. Was really fun. Oh, and of course, if anybody wants to subscribe to my own YouTube channel, can right there, typed in chat through my own channel. It's also in the description of the stream. Yeah. So with that, I will actually end.
Performance there by J King.
J King, full plot armor.
J King is pushing himself into the ranks of the legend.
J King is our world champion. J King 7. What? The back-to-back Cards World Champion.